$3 to go watch Ulsan HDFC against Mamelodi Sundown. $3. $2 to watch Pachuca. Are we serious right now? So the FIFA Club World Cup is officially here, and there's been a lot of backlash, a lot of negative reactions, and a lot of people don't really like the concept of this Club World Cup, and especially the new tournament style that they've added this year. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the negatives of this competition, but also how it may be beneficial for football and for the fans, and kind of go over this whole competition and why there's so many negative reactions to this new Club World Cup. Now, at the time of recording this video, it is Friday, one day before the Club World Cup officially starts, when Inter Miami will be coming up against Al Ahly. And basically, if you didn't know, this Club World Cup is basically a competition which takes all clubs from around the world, from Europe, from Asia, Africa, North America, South America, and we even have a team from New Zealand in this competition. So it's basically a tournament with clubs from all over the world, and it's almost similar to the World Cup format where there's clubs from all the different continents, and that's why it's called the FIFA Club World Cup. And theoretically, this competition sounds like a good idea because you have the representation from all the different continents, and it makes it more like a world competition rather than just a European competition or a South American competition like the Champions League or like CONMEBOL, right? These are specified to certain continents, but this Club World Cup allows for clubs from all the different continents to play. Like I said, in theory, this is a good idea, just like the World Cup. But the problem is that the European clubs are so much more dominant than all the other clubs around the world. If you think about the best competitions in club football, you think of the Champions League. If you think of the best competitions in world football, other than the World Cup, you think about the Euros. And that is because European football simply dominates over all other parts of the world. Now, obviously, South American football is very, very big, very popular. A lot of great countries in South America, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and now even some other countries like Ecuador are starting to become very popular countries and very good footballing countries. And even in terms of their clubs, you see clubs like River Plate, like Palmeiras, like these other South American clubs, which are very popular around the world. But even the South American clubs, they don't compare to European clubs, and that's just simply how it is, and that's simply how it always has been. And when you look at some of these other clubs that are in this Club World Cup, like the American clubs or like the Asian or African clubs, yes, they're still good teams, they have good players, but you cannot compare these teams from Africa, from Asia, to the likes of PSG or Real Madrid or Manchester City or Chelsea or Bayern Munich or Inter Milan. These European clubs are just so much higher, at a higher level than all these other clubs. And yes, it may be due to money, it may be due to history, but that's simply how it is. So this competition, theoretically, getting clubs from all the different continents, from all the different confederations, it sounds like a great idea. It sounds like a World Cup, but on the club level. But in reality, it's never going to work out because the European clubs are just simply going to dominate 95% of the games, and that's why it seems a little bit pointless. Now, another reason why this has been getting so much backlash is due to the added games that it adds for all these clubs, specifically, once again, the European clubs. These teams already play so many games in the season, and especially with the new Champions League format that was introduced this year, we see them playing much more games than what they used to play with the old group stage format. And now adding this new Club World Cup format where there's another group stage, another knockout rounds, and if you make it to the final, you're going to be playing a lot more games than majority of other European clubs. And that's not a good thing. These players are already starting to get injured more often. We're starting to see a lot more fatigue. We're starting to see teams burn out at the end of the season, like we saw with Inter Milan. And adding more games to their season, it's just not needed. Now, the winners of the Club World Cup will get 125 million for the club, which is absolutely crazy. That is close to how much you get for winning the Champions League. And I don't think this Club World Cup is even worth that much money. If we look at some of the tickets online, I'm going to look at some of the tickets right now. If you look at how much these tickets are selling for, you would be absolutely surprised. Right now, I'm on StubHub, which is a very common website to buy tickets from. And you can see these tickets ranging from $30 to $7, $8, $3 to go watch Ulsan HDFC against Mamelodi Sundown. $3. That just shows you how little hype there is for this competition. You can buy tickets for $3, $5, $8, $13, it says right here. It's crazy. $2 to watch Pachuca against FC Salzburg. You can buy a $2 ticket to go watch that game in Cincinnati, Ohio. Like, are we serious right now? $6 to go watch Benfica against Auckland City. $13 to go watch LAFC against Tunis. My gosh. $4 to watch River Plate against Monterrey. $4. Like, this is crazy. This is honestly crazy. We see tickets here ranging from $10, $5, $2 for a ticket. You can go watch one of these games in the US for $2. And that shows you how little hype there is for some of these games. And that takes me back to my point where I mentioned that in a theoretical, hypothetical situation, this is a good competition. We have different clubs from all the different continents. We have UEFA, we have CONMEBOL, we have all these different clubs competing in one competition. But you cannot have a small team from New Zealand against Real Madrid. It's never gonna work. It's like having San Marino against Brazil, which doesn't happen in the World Cup, right? That never happens. That's basically what this is. It's honestly a pointless competition. Clubs are going to be playing more games. Players are going to be much more tired. They're not going to have as big as a break for the off season and for the start of next season. They're not going to be fully ready. And you can buy tickets for $2. Like, really? It just doesn't make sense. And that's why I said theoretically it's a good idea, but the execution of it is totally off. It's totally off. And there's not going to be a lot of people watching these games. The stadiums are not going to be filled up, and that's why they're selling tickets for $3 or $4, because they can't even fill up half the stadium. Now, I understand if you're a Brazilian fan, you watch the Brazilian league, or you're from South Africa and you watch Mamelodi Sundowns, or you're Egyptian and you watch Al Ahly, or you're from New Zealand and you watch Auckland. You know, you want to see your team play against Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, PSG, Bayern Munich, whatever it is. You would love to see that. And even though you know your team's going to get smoked, it's still fun to see. And it's fun to see these big teams and watch them perform. But for neutrals, no one really cares that much. If you're not a Manchester City fan and you're not a fan of Al Ain, you're not going to watch that game. It's simple as that. You're just not going to watch it. Now, one thing I will say is that throughout this competition, as it goes on, as it progresses to the knockout stages, then it may get more interesting, because then you might see PSG against Bayern Munich, or you might see Manchester City against Inter Milan. You might see some more top quality games where you see most of these European clubs or some of the best clubs from South America, like Palmeiras, like River Plate, versus some of these bigger European clubs. And those games may be very interesting. But if you look at the group stage, this is just pointless in my opinion. Like I said, if you're a fan of Urawa Red Diamonds, or you're a fan of Mamelodi Sundowns, you would love to see these teams come up against Real Madrid, against Juventus, against Chelsea. But if you're just a neutral fan, realistically, these games are not going to be entertaining, because it's going to be 5, 6, 7-0. And that's why the tickets aren't selling out. That's why FIFA are not getting their money's worth. And that's why this is just a pointless competition. And honestly, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to football, because these teams are playing so much more games than they should already throughout the regular season, throughout the UEFA competitions. And now to add this on top of what they're already doing, on top of playing in international competitions like the Nations League, which was only introduced about 5 or 6 years ago. All these extra games that are being introduced are making more injuries. They're making more fatigue in teams. Teams are being run down. They're not being as energetic towards the end of the season, and it makes the typical viewer experience worse because teams aren't playing as good towards the end of the season because they're tired out and there's just too many games for the players to handle. So for that reason, in my opinion, I don't think this is a good competition. I think, like I already said, theoretically it sounds good, it looks good, but the execution is off. We're going to see Manchester City beating some lower level teams by 5 or 6 goals, and the tickets are not even selling out, and that's why they're selling them for $3 or $4. Simple as that. And that is the end of this video. That was just a little rant on why, in my personal opinion, I don't think that this competition is worth it. I don't think there's any hype around it, and that's why the tickets aren't selling, and FIFA is going to lose a lot of money adding this competition. I do think for some people it is a good competition, and it's nice to see maybe your local team or one of the teams from your country play against some of the biggest teams in Europe. But for the average neutral fan, I don't think this competition is worth it. I think it's too many games for the players, and I do think it's a little bit of a disgrace. If you guys agree with me, let me know in the comments down below. But if you disagree with me and you actually like the idea of this competition, remember to leave your comments down below, and I'll be sure to read all the comments and we can have a little discussion down below. If you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.